Hello everyone! Today is a little bit of a snowy day, so I'm gonna stay inside and do some more mods to the M2. So one of my biggest issues with the M2, pretty much since I've owned it, has been the clutch pedal and the lack of any sort of feel whatsoever. When you're releasing the clutch to actually get moving, there is absolutely nothing in terms of feel of the clutch engagement. So that makes it a little tough to actually drive smoothly all the time. And a lot of people also say that the clutch pedal is too light. Now, I don't really think that there's anything wrong with the weight on the clutch pedal. For me personally, it is a daily. But one benefit that this solution offers is it also moves the clutch pedal itself downwards about 15 millimeters. So that should make it easier to get on and off the clutch in daily driving. And that mod would be the Ultimate Clutch Pedal. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did order the Burger Motorsports clutch stop, and that is currently installed in the car. This one just comes with another one. And that did make a big difference in terms of removing a lot of the dead space at the end of the clutch travel. So you didn't have to move your foot as far up to get the car moving, so that was nice. However, there's still no feel whatsoever, and again, like I said, this positions the clutch to be in a little more convenient spot for your foot. Now, this part is universal for pretty much everything E-chassis and up, and it does come with a nice set of instructions with photos and everything, so it should be a pretty straightforward install. And looking at the tool list, there are some things that are not on there that are recommended, so I actually have to run to Harbor Freight in the snow to pick some stuff up. All right, back from Harbor Freight, some needle nose pliers, a couple different sets, they're $2, so why not? And some mini pick tools, which you'll need for some of the C-clips that are on the clutch pedal. Now, I'm not gonna make this a full install video. There's plenty of good videos online already. However, I will say, if you're gonna do this, switch steps 11 and steps 9. Some forum members highly suggest doing that because apparently in the order that they tell you, it's nearly impossible. All right, so about 1 hour later, I have the plastic OEM pedal out of the car. Now, if you line up the mounting points of the pedals, you can see that the UCP does sit a little bit lower, so that should make it easier to drive. You don't have to move your foot as much, so that is pretty good. Now, it really shouldn't take you that long. I spent a lot of time on the forums looking what people do with the springs to make up my mind. So what I think I'm gonna do is keep both springs and keep it in the OEM setting, just to keep it as drivable as possible, because once again, this is my daily driver. So I'm gonna interrupt the flow of the video just a little bit to explain a bit more about these springs. So these springs are helper springs basically for the second half of the clutch travel. Now what that does is if you retain both of these springs, it will make the second half of the clutch travel a lot softer and easier to daily drive, which is good because it is, you know, a luxury BMW, but these springs tend to remove some of the clutch feel, allegedly. So if you want the maximum clutch feel possible and you don't mind a super heavy and springy clutch, then you don't even have to reinstall these springs. However, depending on what combination of pedal slot you use and which springs you retain, that will make the clutch a little bit more or less feelsome. Is that the word? I don't know. But you should get a little more feel. Basically, the less springs you use. So you're gonna have to try to mix and match. There's a lot of different combos of springs and slots. Now, to demonstrate the job of those springs a little more effectively than just telling you, I don't have the clutch master cylinder connected, so it is just those helper springs. In this case, I have just the center one in. And what those do is, like I said, they assist you on the second half of the clutch travel. So if you push it in at some point there, that's the point where those springs will help you, the second half of the travel. So let's try that once again. The more aggressive setting you have those springs in, the more this will help you past that point of the clutch travel. All right, so 3 hours later, I may need to schedule a chiropractor, but it's in and you can see that the clutch is pretty much level with the brake. And I'm gonna go take it for a test drive. So first impressions, the relocated clutch is super nice. You can almost just slide right off the dead pedal onto the clutch, just a little bit of height there. So that's cool. Let's go over everything I tried for the UCP. Now, as you saw, I started off with both of the springs in the OEM slot on the pedal, and that was pretty bad. Now, my pedal was really tight to get on there. I don't know if my bushings were just tighter than it should be. However, when I put both springs in the OEM slot, which a lot of people say was their favorite setting, the pedal was terrible. When I would let off the clutch even a little bit faster than as slow as possible, the pedal couldn't keep up. I would take my foot off the pedal and it would still be coming up and it would just clunk at the top. So the pedal was just absurdly sluggish on the return for whatever reason, I don't know. So from there I said, okay, let me try the polar opposite and put in none of the helper springs. From there, this is what I got. As some people online said, this play in the clutch, like this is just, that's all just completely loose. So like it kind of feels sloppy when you first get on it. All right, so then I was like, okay, let me try the UCP recommended smaller spring in the sport setting and then go from there. Now that setting wasn't too bad. However, a lot of people online mentioned like a popping. So you would come off the pedal and then it would just kind of spring back up more aggressively. Somewhere kind of in the middle, like when those springs kind of disengaged. And that extra springiness kind of happened right at the clutch bite point. So you spent a lot of time and effort trying to actually drive it smoothly, because when you would try to get the clutch up to, you know, start moving, it would just spring up a lot harder at some random point. So then I said, okay, let's try something else. So I put both springs back in the sport slot, and that popping sensation when you were getting to the clutch point was even more exaggerated. So it was, again, super hard to drive smoothly, and it was kind of unpleasant, and it took way too much time to just drive smoothly. Now, the return on the pedal was fine at that point. It wasn't sluggish or anything. However, I didn't like the way the pedal felt. So I didn't like both springs in OEM. I didn't like no springs. I didn't like springs in the middle setting whatsoever. So I figured that popping sensation would be even worse with the springs in the race setting. So then where did I end up? I actually ended up with one of the helper springs, just one, in the OEM slot. And that one was the larger of the two. So with the larger spring in the OEM slot, some of the assistance to keep the pedal down was removed by removing that smaller helper spring. So when I actually lift the pedal up, it's able to keep up with my foot like a clutch pedal should. And then in the OEM slot, you don't get that really unpleasant popping sensation of the clutch just popping back up. Alright, so ignore the snowblower in the way, but I realized I never actually talked about the whole reason I did the clutch pedal to begin with, and that is to improve the clutch feel. Now, everyone online said that this pedal was a night and day difference in clutch feel, and I was expecting that to mean that you can feel the clutch actually engage, which was kind of my issue with it, and I don't really find that to be the case. So maybe a little bit better feel on the clutch engagement, but it's kind of marginal and you have to really be paying attention for it. I really see the biggest benefit of this pedal being the reduced travel and the improved positioning of the pedal itself. Now, if the positioning of the pedal itself doesn't bother you from factory, I really think you're better off just getting the $10 Burger Motorsports clutch stop, because that gets you like 80% of the benefit of this $350 clutch pedal with like 1% of the effort. So honestly, would I recommend this Ultimate Clutch Pedal? Sure, if you really want to reposition the clutch, I think that is worth it, because that is a lot more comfortable. But if that doesn't bother you at all, just get the $10 clutch stop from Burger Motorsports. That's really all you need. So anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. The next video is going to be a good one. It will be the Valvetronic exhaust install, which I've been waiting on for a number of months. So I will see you in the next one.